Welcome. Today we're going to talk about how spiritual people deal with negativity, negative people, negative events. How do we deal with all of this to basically go into a state of not just survival, but actual awakening? What is a spiritual person? How do we deal with all of this? Because that really determines spirituality or awakening. I'm going to tell you what it is and how you can do it starting today. Let's see if that's possible for you. This may take some thought on your part. Let's go. Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through those fears and live an amazing life. What's a spiritual person? Let's start with that. Do you think you're spiritual? Well, if you're on my channel, chances are pretty good. Yes. What does that actually mean? What is a spiritual person? Well, we like to think of ourselves as probably awakened, or at least in some kind of awakened state. At least you're aware that there's something beyond just being human that maybe we don't understand. And pretty much all of us are in that space where we don't completely understand, because as long as you're a human, you deal with the density, the energy of this planet, which creates veils and entrenches us in illusion. What does that mean? Okay, how do we deal with, as spiritual people, people that know that there's something bigger that's more positive, right? Wouldn't you say it's positive? How do you deal with the negativity on this planet? Negative people, negative events, negative situations. How do you deal with all of this? There is one simple way. One simple way. It is total acceptance. All right, what does that mean? Not that it's okay for these things to happen, but when we go into acceptance, and this is one of the big steps in my teachings. If you're interested in my teachings, you can check that out, because when we go into a state of acceptance, what happens is, number one, all of a sudden everything has purpose and meaning. It's not just random. It's not just chaos. It has a higher, unbelievable purpose that humans can't comprehend. All right? That's number one. The second thing that happens when we go into acceptance is we understand that nothing happens to us. It happens with us and with our permission. Yes, actually, you are 100% in control of all things that are happening, because whatever happens with you or to you, you have entangled with on some level. You've allowed it, you've planned it, it's all there for you. And you have, either in advance or here, put yourself in a position to become entangled with the events, the people, all of it. All of us, spiritual people, all of us on the planet are spiritual people. What does that mean? We are all of the spirit world, playing out an illusion on a dense planet that appears to be everything that we're not. Separate, individual, struggling, blaming, all the things that we don't truly come from, but still are. Okay, now let's talk about how do you get past all this. When you accept that someone out there is making decisions because they came to a planet of the illusion to play it out, to experience it, to know fear, to know anger, to know all these things, you accept that we all agreed to be on this planet at the same time to experience, make these decisions. And that we are going to make decisions as individuals that affect the whole. And that we know the whole doesn't get out of that. Right? The collective consciousness doesn't get out of anything, because every single person is a part of it. And so every thought, every belief, every action affects the entire collective. So we experience everything. You never get out of the collective, because there is only one energy, and it is everything. So in other words, what's happening is your energy field has agreed to, as an individual, participate in other individual energy fields that really aren't individual, but expressing themselves therefore. And so our game is to all raise our frequency to go back into that which we are. But through that, it's not just like, oh, I got punished, I'm here. Through that, we understand the challenge and the beauty and the experience of going from density back into light. Now, you are already light, but we have veils, so we're removing the veils. And total acceptance of this allows you to just experience. Pain and struggle, especially struggle, comes from a story you tell yourself about the situation. And that, if it's struggle, is the ego saying it shouldn't be this way. Awakening accepts that it is. Does this make sense? I think you shouldn't act this way, you shouldn't say that, that's wrong, and you go on and on and on. That's the ego having zero acceptance that we signed up for this, nothing is an accident or punishment or wrong. And that everything happens for us to experience what it's like to be a human being. It's one game in endless games in eternity. Now, when you know this, you stop struggling. You experience pain, but you don't internalize it. Somebody asked me if I was angry the other day. I said, that's not even in the scope of my emotions. Anger would mean that you're doing something wrong and I would have to go into... Yes, you will have emotions, but you no longer entangle with them. You experience them and observe them. Awakened people understand the meaning and purpose of everything, and they know that everything is a test that they signed up for in order to evolve and to know themselves, which is total light. A spiritual person is you. It's everyone. Spirituality is just you in any kind of form. It's the frequency within that behavior, decisions you make, choices that determines whether you are removing the veils of the illusion or staying in density in pain and struggle and suffering. If you want to remove all of this and go in an awakened state, have total acceptance. I'm not saying approval. I've said this 100 times, not approval. You don't have to approve because there are things that are blatantly appear to be wrong, but are blatantly low density behavior. It doesn't make it okay. This is where we become the solution. How do I handle this? How do I deal with this? And what's the story I'm telling myself? Now, the biggest thing I see that causes struggle with negative people is that you're telling yourself a story that they're negative and you aren't. They're wrong and you're not. And how are you even involved with that negative person? You're entangled. You've somehow become entangled with them. So now when you make them wrong and you're naming them, what are you? Right? If you're naming and labeling, you are in the state of separation that is not awakening. And you can see the separate and individual expressions and observe them. But when you do this, you go in awakened state, you know that that is only an expression in a very temporary state of an illusion. And that everything we do and think and believe within it determines the outcome of our game. That's it. Now that's a real tough thing to pull off because you're going to want to separate yourself and call people wrong and judge. I had somebody tell me that she couldn't let me train her because I accept everybody for who they are. It's really what it came down to. I said, I'm sorry, but the one doesn't judge. Neither did Christ. But you're going to? Okay, that's your choice. And so I accept that, and I also accept the fact that it's up to them to come to the conclusion that only unconditional love will put back the fragments of this planet and our individualism and allow us to become the most powerful thing that any planet can pull off in the universe's are waiting for us to do that, cheering us on, waiting for the outcome. Can you end the struggle and go into acceptance? So when I say acceptance and you go into awakened state, you are saying this person is simply making a choice about their own life. It will affect everything and everyone. How do I accept that they are choosing things that could be destructive for themselves, painful, all kinds of things? Now, how do I go into that? And it's allowing it to play itself out and being the positive change. Not judging it and knowing that you chose to be here and experience that. And the more you go into acceptance, the less you'll actually experience that just heartache of what goes on out there. So you can, as a spiritual person, anyone can do this, and that is have total compassion, because everyone is coming from experiences that feel very real, very separate, very wrong. We're all coming from a low density space that seems wrong, and the ego says it shouldn't be. And when you say it shouldn't be, you find no purpose, no meaning, you struggle against it, and therefore you live in pain and anxiety and depression and all those other things. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be a fun ride the whole time. It won't be, because that's what being human is. But when you see it for exactly what it is and you understand it, you stop fighting and battling anything. No more struggle. And you understand if it came in your life, it's an opportunity for you to be tested and for you to be a solution and for you to find that place of compassion and love within that challenge. That's it. That's placing the ego aside. The ego wants what it wants for itself as an individual, separate. I want the world to be different. I want you to be different. And so therefore, any event or situation that comes, if you are in awakened state, you understand it's a cause and effect of all the players on the planet. And so when we have negativity occurring, density, there's a cause, there's some decisions being made on a lower density plane, frequency. And the repercussions, there's always an effect, always. Even in your life, what did you do that is the direct cause for some of the effects you have now? Health, relationships, money, all of it. Are you putting negative labels on money or certain situations or how people treated you? And you have all these negative stories that you have in your head that it's wrong and it shouldn't be. That's ego. And when you let that go, stop blaming people. You know you're entangled that you always participated in. Even if you're not aware of it, you know that it's beyond your knowing, let's just say, beyond your human knowing. You don't have to understand it. You're just in it. So how are you going to handle everything? Place the ego aside in every single thought, every situation, every negative person. You know they're just coming from a different frequency. That's it. And we are in the illusion that is going to experience the effects of that. And the more you go into a positive state and frequency, the more you will raise the collective frequency that will negate that. That's why we don't need a huge percentage of people to go in their Great Awakening to affect the whole. We can start turning it into tipping point. I said there's a split right now. Some people are going into some very deep, dark anxiety. You know what happens when they go there? They have an opportunity to have a dark night of the soul. And when you've hit rock bottom, there's nowhere else to go. And then when you realize, when you let go of everything and you have total acceptance, you're free. There's no more story. There's no more struggle. There's no more pain, because things have purpose even if you don't understand it. And again, the ego wants to have an explanation for that. You can't. Just accept. It's called faith. It's a tough one. Can you go into faith? I know you can. Are you ready to do that? Because you'll be tested at all times. You're just going to have to be able to do your best at the moment as to where you are. And don't make excuses for yourself. Because once you become awakened and you know the difference, you'll know when you're making low frequency decisions or thoughts or higher ones. And you always have a choice. No one is evil. I know you might have a tough one that no one is evil. That's a label. It is a choice that they're making in a low frequency, and we call it evil. But they aren't. They are the light. That is an illusion you're seeing, and it's going to test you. So, no one is wrong, and no one is right, because everyone's reality and thoughts are real for them. When you impose yours on somebody else, that's density, that's ego. When we let that go, we stop fighting. There's nothing to fight for. When you respect the other's diversity, opinions, we stop having to fight for things, so we stop going into density because we're in the mode of giving. And when you go into giving, you care about the other, you care about the whole. And we work together as a community, and it's euphoric. And there's abundance like you can't believe. And if you're worried about that world of takeover, if there's abundance for everyone and people are taken care of and they're allowed to express themselves and be creative, that's a beautiful world. And it exists right now. And there's no agenda to that. There doesn't have to be some power or control behind it. It just has to come from your heart. If you would like to come into my free video series, you will get a free mobile app, What Am I Manifesting? You will also get, if you want to sign up for my free class, Breakthrough Fear, it's a 1-hour masterclass. It's actually down in the description. And if you sign up for my email, you'll get access to it there. 1 hour, and then you can decide. At the end, you get an opportunity to have a discovery call with me to find out if you want to work together, if you want to be a student, because I'm taking people to super high levels, and the first thing we do is to understand that we are not separate and that everything that's happened in your life has incredible, beautiful meaning, and we change the stories and we turn them into something really powerful, and it will bring peace to you and joy. And so when someone's in your life and you're blaming them and you have anger, you have attachment. Attachment can be very destructive. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel and share these videos. And also we have up here or down below free videos for finding out how you can create an online business. Wouldn't it be great to live a life of freedom like I do? You could travel anywhere you want, be a digital nomad. I actually say digital explorer, and do whatever you want online, but have a whole group of people who know how to do this properly help you set that up and live that life that you desire and be someone very powerful. And your voice counts. We'd love to hear it. You are whole and perfect. You are whole right now. Whole. Everything else is the illusion. You are perfect right now. It's not something you need to go find. Whole and perfect, you are strong. Beyond your imagination, powerful. You're loving, harmonious, and happy. All of that's right here because you are the light of the one. You can't be anything less than that. The story about all of the experiences and the non-acceptance is what creates the pain and the struggle. But all of these things I just named, you are perfect. I'll see you in the next video. Namaste.